So you're building a new AI workstation, and you've got a big decision to make. For a while now, the RTX 4090 has been the undisputed king for local AI. But now, the brand new RTX 5070 Ti has arrived, and it's a very serious contender. So which one is actually the right call for you? Well, let's break it all down.
This isn't just a simple question of which card has more raw power. This is really about strategy. Are you going to bet on the RTX 4090's sheer VRAM muscle to handle the absolutely massive models we have today? Or is the 5070 Ti's newer, much more efficient architecture a smarter long-term play for your specific workflow? Let's get into it.
All right, let's meet our two contenders. The best way to think about this is like a car comparison. The RTX 4090, that's your classic American muscle car. It's got a giant V8, a ton of raw, unapologetic power, but yeah, it's also a bit of a gas guzzler. The RTX 5070 Ti, though, that's more like a sleek, modern electric sports car. It's not about brute force, it's incredibly efficient, whisper quiet, and just packed with the latest and greatest tech.
And I mean, just look at the 4090. This thing is an absolute beast. We're talking 24 gigabytes of VRAM and over 16,000 CUDA cores. There's a reason it's been the king of the hill. This card was built from the ground up for the most demanding AI tasks, where having that massive pool of memory is just not negotiable. Okay, now let's switch over to the 5070 Ti, and right away you're going to notice, yeah, it has less VRAM and fewer CUDA cores, but don't let that fool you for a second. It's built on the brand new Blackwell architecture, and it's using cutting-edge GDDR7 memory. The whole philosophy here is different. It's all about doing more with less, which makes it unbelievably efficient. So now that we've met them, let's put them head to head. We're going to see how they really stack up in the three areas that matter the most for any local AI workload: VRAM, the tech under the hood, and of course, how much power the whole system is going to draw. And boom, right off the bat, this chart tells you pretty much the biggest story: VRAM. The RTX 4090 has a full 50% more memory than the 5070 Ti. And let me tell you, for a lot of AI tasks, especially when you're wrestling with large language models, that extra headroom, it's a game changer. So what does that extra VRAM actually buy you in the real world? Well, with the 4090's 24 gigs, you can start tackling those monster models. We're talking 20 billion parameters and up without constantly running out of memory. Now, the 5070 Ti with its 16 gigs is no slouch, don't get me wrong. It's perfect for a ton of common tasks, like running optimized 7 to 13 billion parameter models, or firing up amazing tools like Stable Diffusion. But here's where it gets really interesting: the actual technology. The 5070 Ti's Blackwell architecture brings something new to the table: support for data formats like FP4. Now, to put it simply, this lets the card process certain AI tasks with, let's say, good enough precision, but way faster and more efficiently. It's about working smarter, not just harder, and it can lead to some huge speedups. And that efficiency directly translates to power consumption. I mean, the 4090 is a power-hungry beast, pulling around 450 watts when it's working hard. That means you need a serious power supply and a case with some really good airflow to keep it happy. The 5070 Ti, on the other hand, is much more civilized. It's sipping power at around 300 watts, which makes building a quiet, cool system around it just so much easier. Now, you might be thinking, what about linking two of these cards together with NVLink? Well, NVIDIA's CEO Jensen Huang actually explained why they got rid of that on consumer cards. They basically needed that physical space on the chip for something else to cram in as much on-die AI processing as they possibly could. So the key takeaway here is that for either of these cards, if you're doing a multi-GPU setup, they'll be talking to each other over your motherboard's standard PCIe lanes. Okay, so here's the tail of the tape, a quick side-by-side of all the key specs. You can really see the story here. The 4090 has that clear lead in VRAM and memory bandwidth, but the 5070 Ti punches back with its next-gen tech, that new FP4 precision, and that much lower power draw. It's the classic matchup: raw power versus modern efficiency. Look, specs on a slide are one thing, but how do these GPUs actually perform when you put them to work? Let's move beyond the numbers and see how they do in a few real-world AI scenarios. This is where the rubber meets the road. When it comes to running those big, large language models, the RTX 4090 is the clear winner. That 24 gigs of VRAM is just essential for running the bigger base models without having to aggressively shrink them down, which can hurt performance. But if your work is really focused on those smaller, highly optimized models, the 5070 Ti is a fantastic and very powerful choice.
And what about training your own models? Again, that extra VRAM on the 4090 is a huge advantage. It just gives you so much more headroom and flexibility, which makes for a much more forgiving workflow. The 5070 Ti can absolutely handle training, especially with clever techniques like LoRa, but you're going to have to be a lot more careful about managing your memory.
But here's where the RTX 5070 Ti really gets to shine. Inference. That's the process of actually using a pre-trained model to get a result. Thanks to its modern architecture and that awesome support for low-precision formats like FP4, the 5070 Ti is just incredibly efficient at this. It delivers amazing performance for every single watt of power it consumes.
Okay, so after all of that, which one should you actually buy? Let's walk through a final checklist to really nail down which of these GPUs is the perfect fit for your setup and your goals.
You know, when you're making a big investment like this, you want it to be future-proof, right? But that term can mean two different things here. If you're betting that AI models are just going to keep getting bigger and bigger, then the 4090's huge VRAM is your safe bet. But if you think the future is all about smarter, more efficient models, then the 5070 Ti's modern architecture is definitely the forward-looking choice. So here's how you decide. 3 simple steps. First, what is your primary workload? Are you running giant models or focusing on fast, efficient inference? Second, be honest with yourself. How much VRAM do you really need? Are your projects constantly crashing because you're running out of memory? And third, think about your total system cost. Remember to factor in the bigger power supply and better cooling you'll need for a 4090. At the end of the day, it really comes down to this. There's no single best card for everyone. If you need the absolute maximum VRAM and raw, uncompromised power for the biggest jobs out there, the RTX 4090 is still your champion. But for most people building a powerful yet efficient AI workstation today, the RTX 5070 Ti's blend of modern features and incredible efficiency probably makes it the smarter all-around choice. Now, if you want to see exactly how these two cards stack up in a direct head-to-head benchmark battle, you should definitely check out the link in the description. We've got a super detailed written comparison with all the hard numbers you need to make a fully informed decision. So, I'll leave you with this final question. As AI keeps evolving at this crazy pace, where are you placing your bet? Are you banking on today's massive capacity, or are you investing in tomorrow's smart, efficient features? The real question isn't just which card is better today, but which one you believe is better prepared for the AI of tomorrow.